us, a physical quantity that follows precise natural laws.
The law.
Our universe has a finite amount of it. It's neither created nor destroyed, but can take different forms, such as kinetic or potential energy, with different properties and formulas to remember. For instance, an LED desk lamp's 6-watt bulb transfers 6 joules of light energy per second. But let's jump back up into space to look at our planet, its systems, and their energy flow. Earth's physical systems include the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. Energy moves in and out of these systems, and during any energy transfer between them, some is lost to the surroundings as heat, light, sound, vibration, or movement. Our planet's energy comes from internal and external sources. Geothermal energy from radioactive isotopes and rotational energy from the spinning of the Earth are internal sources of energy, while the sun is the major external source, driving certain systems like our weather and climate. Sunlight warms the surface and atmosphere in varying amounts, and this causes convection, producing winds and influencing ocean currents. Infrared radiation, radiating out from the warmed surface of the Earth, gets trapped by greenhouse gases and further affects the energy flow. The sun is also the major source of energy for organisms. Plants, algae, and cyanobacteria use sunlight to produce organic matter from carbon dioxide and water, powering the biosphere's food chains. We release this food energy using chemical reactions, like combustion and respiration. At each level in a food chain, some energy is stored in newly made chemical structures, but most is lost to the surroundings as heat, like your body heat, released by your digestion of food. Now, as plants are eaten by primary consumers, only about 10% of their total energy is passed on to the next level. Since energy can only flow in one direction in a food chain, from producers on to consumers and decomposers, an organism that eats lower on the food chain is more efficient than one higher up. So eating producers is the most efficient level at which an animal can get its energy. But without continual input of energy to those producers, mostly from sunlight, life on Earth as we know it would cease to exist. We humans, of course, spend our energy doing a lot of things besides eating. We travel, we build, we power all sorts of technology. To do all this, we use sources like fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, which contain energy that plants captured from sunlight long ago and stored in the form of carbon. When we burn fossil fuels in power plants, we release this stored energy to generate electricity. To generate electricity, heat from burning fossil fuels is used to power turbines that rotate magnets, which in turn create magnetic field changes relative to a coil of wire, causing electrons to be induced to flow in the wire. Modern civilization depends on our ability to keep powering that flow of electrons. Fortunately, we aren't limited to burning non-renewable fossil fuels to generate electricity. Electrons can also be induced to flow by direct interaction with light particles, which is how a solar cell operates. Other renewable energy sources, such as wind, water, geothermal, and biofuels, can also be used to generate electricity. Global demand for energy is increasing, but the planet has limited energy resources to access through a complex energy infrastructure. As populations rise alongside rates of industrialization and development, our energy decisions grow more and more important. Access to energy impacts health, education, political power, and socioeconomic status. If we improve our energy efficiency, we can use our natural resources more responsibly and improve quality of life for everyone.
That's why all the nature beings come and make it work. That's why all the nature beings come and make it work and things like that. So there's something out there that happens all of these things over the many, many millions of years. How the dinosaurs go extinct and how the carbon is formed and animals, and it's a big cycle. And man is the one coming down and messing it up.
Imagine waking up on the beach before dawn. The glimmer of light leads you to the shoreline. Suddenly, a wave pulls you in. At first, you use the direction of the waves to guide you. But once you're in the open sea, with powerful currents bombarding you, and very little light, how can you be sure of where you are and where you're going? For a hatchling sea turtle, the answer is magnetoreception. That's the ability to sense
not
magnetic
nature,
fields.
Mother Nature, nature.
We know many
no.
animals use this sixth sense for navigation. What we don't know is exactly how
They don't
magnetoreception
know.
works.
How? They don't know how they do it.
Here's what we do know. Earth itself is like a giant magnet. The motion from its liquid outer core generates a magnetic field. Certain animals can sense this field and use it as a compass to tell them if they're heading in the right direction, and a map to give them signposts along the way.
There's two competing theories for how magnetoreception works. One is a chemical sensor, the other is a mechanical sensor.
The first theory is that animals have tiny magnetite particles
That's
in
theory.
their bodies
That's
that
theory,
act
yeah?
as magnetic receptors. Magnetite is the most magnetic natural metal on Earth. It's been found in many animals that exhibit magnetoreception.
And it's thought that it's the only potential sensor that would be sensitive enough to capture these incredibly tiny variations in magnetic field strength that would allow the animal to not just know whether they're going north or south along the magnetic field line, but know the precise beach that they need to get to.
The other theory is that animals possess a protein in their eyes called cryptochrome, which allows them to see magnetic fields. Cryptochrome has been found in the eyes of several migratory birds, but we haven't proven either theory for a few reasons.
With magnetoreception, you don't know where to look. Magnetic fields pass invisibly through the entire body, so researchers don't know exactly where these magnetite particles or cryptochromes would be attached to particular cells. So mistakes are made all the time.
And so far, cryptochrome experiments have only yielded positive results in the presence of magnetic fields much stronger than Earth's.
The frontier is now not so much at the animal behavior level, but actually getting inside the brains of these animals and trying to find these sensing cells and connecting them to the neural circuitry. It's not so much a question of which animals have this sense, but which don't. So researchers have said, well, why not humans? Maybe we had this sense at one point deep in our evolutionary past and lost it, but maybe there's a vestige left. Researchers in California and Japan have gone after this holy grail one more time with a very specialized experiment, one that relies on double blinding and magnetic shielding, and they're seeing glimmers, maybe even more than glimmers, of this magnetic sense in humans. It's starting to be reproducible, and they're really excited about it.
So remember, they're trying to find a way to show all this theory and things like that. But none of them are saying to do with anything to do with divine or nature. They know the magnetic field. Everyone looking for a scientific proof. But some of them don't know that their nature beings will stand and they make a web and they just follow. Like how a white spider web is made by a spider. So what magnetic field is that? It's so beautifully done in the honeycomb. So everybody finding a way. And they spend so much of money and research and things like that. A lot of money. Simple thing like that. If you go and tell them this wand can heal your headache, how are they going to believe? And look at the ocean now. What happens inside there?
Coral reefs. Their bright, vivid colors can be seen in tropical ocean waters around the globe. Beyond their brilliant appearance lies a hidden significance. Coral are animals.
Animals.
Though they may look like colorful plants, coral are in fact made up of tiny animals called polyps. These invertebrates can range from the size of a pinhead to a bit larger than a basketball. Each polyp consists of a soft, sac-like body topped by a mouth covered in stinging tentacles. To protect their soft bodies and add support, the polyps secrete limestone skeletons, or calicles. Corals are megabuilders. Polyp calicles connect to one another, creating a colony that acts as a single organism. As colonies grow over hundreds and thousands of years, they join with other colonies and become reefs that can grow to hundreds of miles long. The largest coral reef is Australia's Great Barrier Reef, which began growing about 20,000 years ago.
20,000 years ago.
Coral reefs are some of the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. Though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, coral reefs are home to 25% of all marine creatures. It's been estimated that up to 2 million species inhabit coral reefs, rivaling the biodiversity of the rainforest. The reefs provide rich habitat that helps protect young fish as they grow. Coral are translucent. Coral reefs get their rainbow of colors from algae or zooxanthellae that live in their tissue. Though corals use their tentacles to capture some food, most of their food comes from the algae they house. When coral becomes stressed by pollution or other factors, they evict their algae. Coral bleaching results revealing coral's white skeletons. Coral provide a window to the past. As coral grow, their limestone skeletons form layers, similar to tree rings, that vary in composition and thickness based on ocean conditions at the time. With some coral reefs growing for thousands or even millions of years, scientists can study these layers to reveal what the Earth's climate may have been like in the ancient past. Unfortunately, climate change is putting coral's future in danger, along with the millions of species that inhabit the reefs and the 500 million people that rely on reef fish for food. Warming waters result in prolonged coral bleaching that kill coral reefs or leave them vulnerable to other threats. Without significant action on climate change, our oceans could lose many of their colorful reefs by the end of the century.
Imagine, guys, how much of nature beings are down under the ocean. How they look like. Very interesting.
Under the waves all over the world, there are spectacular ecosystems. Corals and tiny little animals who together can form huge reefs spanning hundreds of kilometers, teeming with diverse life. So let's take a look. The oldest corals lived 450 million years ago. That's long before dinosaurs, who clock in from around 240 million years ago.
Wow.
The first members of the human family only appeared around 7 million years ago. Thousands of species can be found living on one coral reef. For example, the Great Barrier Reef contains over 400 species of coral, 1,500 species of fish, 4,000 species of mollusk, and 6 species of turtle. And because of this amazing biodiversity, we're starting to discover that there is a lot we can learn from coral. Coral extracts have been used to develop treatments for asthma, arthritis, cancer, and heart disease.
See what they do?
It's been estimated that coral reefs provide a global value of £5.7 trillion each year, including from fishing and tourism. More than 500 million people worldwide depend on reefs for food, jobs, and coastal protection. The ridges in coral reefs can reduce wave energy by up to 95%, providing crucial protection from threats such as tsunamis. If we were to travel back in time 40 million years, the most diverse place on Earth was somewhere between where London and Paris are now. Today, the Coral Triangle in Southeast Asia holds that claim, and until the 13th of September in London, the wonder and diversity of these spectacular underwater ecosystems are on display at the Natural History Museum's major exhibition, Coral Reefs, Secret Cities of the Sea.